Hello, everybody. We should be live. Apologies for the slight delay. It always happens, doesn't it? As usual, my fantastic planning skills have come into play again, and we do have a technical error. Basically, I don't know if you remember the last couple of streams, my computer has gone on haywire a little bit, and it's broke down. I've now got a new computer, which is why I did a test stream earlier. It works great. There's going to be no chances of, touch wood, of it crashing. However, there has been a couple of issues. What we used to do was, what we were planning on doing is going over myself. Oh, and Shin's Koala is here. Sorry to be rude. Hello, sir.
Hello, folks. Hi.
And guys, can you just let us know in the chat if you can hear us both? Did you hear Shin then? Yeah, we've got a problem. What we were going to do was go over the Lorne interview, and Shin was going to cast his... can't hear Shin, I fucking knew it. Right, stand by, guys.
Can't hear me?
No, don't think so. Just Shin, just say hello again.
Hello, everybody. Can everybody hear me? Okay, apparently not. Hang on a sec. Let me see if I
No, I don't think it's at your end. I think it's...
Wait a minute. There's one more thing I need to do. Hold on. Let me see if I can figure that out. I think I know what it is.
No, I don't think it's at your end.
Hang on. Really?
I think it's at my end. Speakers. Yeah, turn that down.
You talking to me?
I think I've cracked it now. Speak again.
Okay. Hello, everybody. Can anybody hear me?
Right. Yeah. Make sure you. Oh, right.
I've cracked it now. Speak again.
Right. I can hear myself coming through. For fuck's sake. Right. They can hear you now, Shin, but you need to turn where we were at the beginning. You need to turn me off.
Oh, sorry. I apologize.
They can hear you now, Shin, but
Okay, give me 1 sec. There we go. Sorry about that, guys.
No, that's fine. So I think we're good now. So we've got both of us on. So
The
guys,
blind leading the blind.
I know, Jesus Christ. But to be fair, I managed to get my new computer working. I've got OBS Studio downloaded. I've got Google Hangouts going. I've got my Skype set up. I've got my microphone in. The issues are, for some reason, anybody who's like into the computers and PCs are going to know how much of an absolute pain in the ass it can be to get a proper PC working correctly. It's just a nightmare because I've got everything hooked up to it. Microphones, like a surround system, so I've got an amp and headphones, all that. I've got Skype running through it and OBS at the same time. So to get everything working in synchronous isn't easy.
At the same time, we're having little difficulties with Skype, too. We got to figure that out.
Yeah, basically what we were going to do is Shim was going to screen share with me, and he was going to look at the Lorne police interview at the same time. What we were going to do is go over it bit by bit and do an analysis of it. We were going to do it. We'd figured out a way to do it just now where we paused it together at the same time. I watched it as a download on the computer, and then he watched it through YouTube, but it can get messy. You need to be sharing the same screen, really. So
Yeah.
So we're just going to have a bit of a chat. So guys, in the chat, thanks for joining us. Lilith's here, and Lorne Armstrong's here. He's managed to get hold of his smartphone again in the prison. I hope they catch it. And hello, the first Mrs. R. He was very kind enough to send me a little meditation video the other day on Skype, which was really cool. I'm into stuff like that, as we all know. I bore people excessively with it, and I get shouted at by some of my friends for it. So yeah, we've got it's next Tuesday, the hearing, isn't it?
It's exactly October 1st, and at 10 o'clock. Excuse me, I just dropped my mic. At 10 o'clock, and in Judge Woodcock's session.
And it's gonna be cool because it's kind of a big time for me. I travel over to in case anybody doesn't know, I am as crazy as this is. I'm traveling over to the States on Saturday. Well, I mean, the predominant reason really is to watch the hearing, which is going to be really cool. I was, just in case anybody's saying, you know, I did sort of say this last time, but basically, I was thinking of a holiday at some point this year, and I thought, well, why not? Shin's going to pick me up from the airport because I don't know where I'm going. Well, I hope you do. Yeah, didn't you know the first Mrs. R? Yeah, it just seemed the flight. Basically, I can get a flight directly to Boston, which is where Mr. Koala hails from, for quite a decent price from Manchester. So I was like, you know what? Wouldn't this be really cool? Because, you know, what a kind of journey it's been myself on a personal level. You know, as I'm sure a lot of other people that I speak to, because it's been quite a journey. The last couple of years about my life have been pretty mega as far as a personal level, professionally, spiritually, you know, health-wise, shit going on in my family, you know, just life in general. I'm not saying, oh, fucking, oh, shit's happened to me. We all go through our ups and downs and crazy situations, and it's all been through the Lorne saga. It's not via Thomas Cook, Mrs. R, thankfully, the travel agent that went bust in UK. It's Virgin Atlantic I'm travelling on. But basically, everything that's gone on in my life over the last 2 or 3 years, it's ran parallel with the Lorne saga. I started making videos just shy about 3 years ago, and through that I've met some amazing people, had some amazing experiences, had a bit of drama here and there, and a few falls out, you know, a few disagreements with a few people. You know, my channel got deleted, then I had to start it up again. And at the same time that's been going on, I've, you know, had relationships with people. I've been, you know, I met Adam through the Lorne saga, and then I, you know, spent time in Spain with him, and then we went to, you know, we spent quite a bit of time together. So basically, it's been quite an influential part of my life, really. As fucked up as that is. But we all, you know, if you think about your own personal journey through the Lorne saga, and think about, you know, the interest that you've taken in it, listening to everybody's listening in the chat now, I think you'll kind of, you know, everybody's got their own kind of journey, haven't they? And you yourself, Shin, we were going to do a video about it. Me, you, and Tiff were going to do a video about our journey through the Lorne saga and how it's changed us. And you have it's changed you quite significantly, or should I say, you've noticed a change during it, haven't you?
Yeah, well, it coincided with a change that I was making anyway, and I think I said this in the last stream. It just made things easier for me, believe it or not. I mean, because one of the biggest things I had to work on was, well, I had to beat the shit out of my body just to get it back in shape again, my muscles, as Lorne would say. But anyway, and I would just be dead, knocked out dead at the end of the day. And you know, when I discovered this, it was really peaceful for me. I mean, it became a kind of a almost meditative. It was really weird. And then just the amount of volume, you know, it basically kept me going for the good 9 months when it was the toughest time, which was really good. And of course, I got to learn more about him and the other predators too. But it just watching this walking life lesson was really was pretty important to me in terms of you know, examining myself, certain habits that I might share with Lorne. Who knows? I was really hoping to God I didn't, but you know, let's be honest. But more importantly, it's how I treated other people. You know, when I finally realized that you know, that they aren't nearly as bad as I thought they were, especially when I have this template in front of me that shows you the worst of the worst. So, you know, my interactions, my you know, my health and everything else just seemed to just ran along lines of when I discovered Lornography. And again, Bay Shaman and you are responsible for that. So, and that's, you know, that's it. And I don't have any apologies about this at all. I mean, a lot of people, a lot of friends I tell about, obviously are, look at me sideways, or I try to explain things to them or show them things. And I realize that this is definitely an acquired taste. This is not something that everybody could just jump into. And that's pretty much where I am today. I got to say, though, this court hearing that's coming up, and by the way, to a few people who asked, I think it was Patricia and April, of course we're going to tell you what happens. We'd like to get it out as soon as it does happen.
You're going to make some videos, as many as we can. I believe we can take our phone into the court, but not into the courtroom, Shin. Is that correct? Because you've already been to the courtroom. Just in case anybody doesn't know, do you want to give a brief update on your trip to Maine?
Yeah, again, I apologize to everybody who heard this already, but sometimes it's worth re-mentioning. But when I went up there, I didn't know what to expect. I didn't know, given the, I don't want to call this a high-profile case, but it definitely has a lot of interest from a lot of strange people like me. And I assume that the court would be kind of cognizant of that and kind of look out for it, maybe put security on alert. And it was the opposite. It was just a laid-back place, so there was no problem there. But the issue is with regard to the cell phones. In Boston court, we can't even bring the cell phones into the courthouse, even on the first floor lobby. But in Maine, you're allowed to bring it into the courthouse. But once you get up to where the sessions are, which is, I think, the second floor or third floor, I can't remember which one it was, there's another metal detector where you're not allowed to bring your phones in. So, and obviously inside any federal session, it's illegal to take any photographs of any defendant. That's why they have sketch artists. Most states allow that now, but not, again, by usually just media outlets, but not by the general public anyway. So, and the important thing is also that, if people are getting wind of this, and I assume they are, especially, up in Maine, his defense team, probation, who's ever involved with this, and this doesn't have to be said to this community, I'm sure, but I just want to say this in the event that my voice is heard up there, that we're going up there respectfully. We're going up there not to cause any distraction.
Lying. We're going to be throwing tomatoes at Lorne as soon as we get into the courtroom. I'm holding up a sign saying he never meant to do it, and I'm going to shout catchphrases at him as he walks into the courtroom. So don't believe a word.
Yeah, I mean, all these
we're not going to.
Yeah, we're not going to do anything like that. And we just want the court to know, if anybody's listening, a representative up there, that we come in peace and we're just coming as citizens observers to see that justice is done. And I have no problem admitting my bias in this case. So my biggest worry is that they'll close the session, and there's a possibility they could. Yes, you're right, Joey. These judges, lawyers do have it, but Lorne seems to make his small problems much bigger. So, and God knows what his lawyer is going to do. Every lawyer has a duty to exercise independent judgment and not be led around by the ears by his client. So I'm hoping his lawyer is not going to do that. But there could be a chance that maybe he makes a big deal about it. I don't know.
Let's pray. Let's pray that he does, because in your estimation or kind of educated guess, is Sylvester Stallone still going? I believe he is. With Schwarzenegger as well. But we believe, or more accurately should I say, you believe that there will be a plea agreement. Now, it would seem to make sense. That will mean it will be a shorter hearing, and we don't get as much detail as you can imagine. There's going to be a few formalities spilled. We want him to contest it because it's going to be a drawn-out process. We're going to hear from... What I really want to happen is Maria, who's his probation officer, I want to hear her rip into him like fuck. Do you know what I mean? It happened during the initial
she won't do
hearing.
It'll be the district attorney's office who does it on their behalf, or a counsel from probation.
She wouldn't necessarily speak.
Well, she would speak. She would testify, yes. I mean, she would be asked questions, but she can't argue before the court. I mean, she would be essentially a prosecutor's witness in this case. It's really interesting. You just raised another issue, and I can't remember who brought this up, and I said that I would address it. Somebody had mentioned or asked, and then there was somebody kind of doubled down on it. What is the potential that any of these calls or any of these photographs or any of the stuff will be admitted into court. And the best way I could answer that is to try to look at it from both perspectives, from the prosecutor and from the defense attorney. I can't see, unless the defense attorney was going to use this as some kind of legal provocation that caused them to do all these things, fail, rape, class, drive drunk, and all this other stuff. I don't think they'd want to touch it. I don't think he'd want to touch it at all. It's just too complicated, and I don't even know if a judge will let it in. But, once you open up that box, anything could happen. So, and as far as the prosecution is concerned, I think they have enough. I think they have enough with the polygraph, the suspect. Yeah, they don't need the discussions and the photographs and the videos that he's been sending out. They might use something, to prove that he's been sending out photographs indiscriminately to people he didn't verify independently their age. So that could be a possibility. But I don't think this judge is going to want to bog down on that. If the probation has the goods, which they do, they don't need us. They don't need any of that stuff. So I hope that answers the question, because that was something that was brought up by a couple people in the community. So, do you think you might settle at the last minute? That's always the possibility. As a matter of fact, if they haven't had any discussions, till now, chances are that's what they're waiting for.
Blue Boy said if they put his arsehole pick up. You mean his literal arsehole?
Well, what they can do is they can just go to YouTube, and they could, because YouTube has that stuff, has the blurred out images of his genitals and things like that. They'll find a few of those, and not only that, it'll show how widespread. I mean, YouTube is a very big platform.
I have unblurred out pictures of his genitals on my phone.
Yes.
Even his background pictures on the phone, like like your screensavers. It's Lorne's cock.
Yeah, bottom line is it's not necessary, nor do I think is relevant. So it'll be a tough road to hoe. And the other thing is, another clue is, if they were planning on doing something like that, you say the defense attorney was going to use this as some form of provocation. In other words, mental duress, coercion, whatever it is that he wants to bring. You would think that the case would be continued by now, because he needs to go through a lot more information than a month. So, just preparing for that kind of defense, you need a lot more time. So I can't imagine that he's doing that. And the other thing is, keep in mind that these lawyers have hundreds of cases. This Lorne isn't his only.
Yeah, it's a big deal to us, but not to them.
Yeah, and the other thing is, he's a federal defender. A federal defender is a public defender, but Lorne was shitting on them, which really drives me crazy every time he does that. You have no idea how hard it is to be a federal defender. You have to not only have the right admissions, you have to have enough experience, and that experience includes several jury trials, high-end felonies. And sometimes, if you want to be on what they call the murder list, you have to have at least 4 jury trials that were taken to verdict, one way or the other. So those guys are vetted. Those guys are good. And when Lorne mentioned in one of the phone calls that he was going to get a private attorney, to augment his public defender in this case, or let's call it a federal defender. These guys are really brilliant. And not only that, they're the best of the best. They really are. Because most of these high-profile cases are with indigent people. Terrorists and things like that these guys would love to jump in front of the camera and grab these cases. So you have to be a really special kind of qualified lawyer to be a federal defender. So, well, anyway, that being said, he was trying to think about getting a lawyer to augment him, because he didn't think that the public defender was going to put his all into the case. That's another issue. Every attorney, regardless of whether you're getting paid or not, you represent somebody, you have to represent them zealously. You can't, otherwise it's malpractice. You just get thrown out.
Yeah, but you're always going to have, different levels of competency and motivation.
True, but again, they screen these out. They screen these guys out of the federal defenders program. And so when Lorne was talking about getting another lawyer to augment that, if a judge heard that, he would go crazy. Are you kidding me? We have decided that you're indigent. and and we appointed you an attorney at the taxpayer's costs, and now somehow you found money, and you basically what you're asking the court to do is build a legal team for you. I don't think that's going to happen. So they'll get rid of that public defender if he gets somebody else, and that guy will be stuck with the case. He'll have to make an appearance, and the public defender will have to withdraw. The judge is not going to let an indigent defendant somehow pay for a lawyer and at the same time appoint him a taxpayer appointed lawyer. It's just not going to happen. So I don't know what he's thinking about when he says that. So,
that'd be really cool. We can't take our phones in there or play any music, but if someone could sort of turn up,
just leave in the car. I mean, it's not a hot summer day at that time of year, so it's not that bad. But not only that, as I said, the parking lot is so close. I mean, you could park on the street. It's basically 20 feet from the courthouse entrance.
I was going to say, if someone could like drive past, open the windows, blurt out, "I love the first," at full blast, and you can hear it from inside the courtroom. The thing is, I wonder how long it'd take Lorne's brain to figure out what was going on.
I wonder what's going on with him right now. I've been to the dump, and the latest call I saw was just after he got his detention hearing. He got denial. His release was denied at his detention hearing, and after that, there's not really much. There's nothing really. I'm assuming that the decoys have kind of held off discussions with him or not, and maybe they don't know what's going on at this point. But I'm wondering if it's finally gotten through to him that these people are are not real, and so his attitude in court before he found out they weren't real is, I want as many people as there as possible. Now that he finds out that they aren't real, I'm wondering how he's going to react to as many people there as possible. So I'm curious about that. See what his disposition is, just to see his face, Andrew. I just really want to see his face.
I know it's going to be so much like I'm looking forward to with regard to seeing how it plays out. Just a normal standard run-of-the-mill hearing for everybody else is kind of a big thing for us, isn't it? It's an unprecedented situation. Somebody that isn't known in the mainstream, but we know him very well. We know more about this guy than most people know about the most famous criminals. We literally know everything, don't we?
We know we know his every private moment. We know when he's on the toilet. We know what he's like when he. We know everything about this guy. We've been
living his life for the last 3 years to some degree, haven't we?
Yeah. Oh, just to answer a few questions real quick. I think it was Kelpill. Did you ask me? I think you asked me about getting a sketch artist. I actually looked into that. And the problem is, unfortunately, there's not a lot of big cases up in that area, Maine. So you're not going to, it's not a huge metropolis like Boston or New York or something like that. And so in looking for sketch artists, it was very, very difficult. So I went into regular artists and tried to see if I could commission somebody, but I couldn't do that. You really have to have, it's really a specialty. And then I went to the art schools in the area and to see if there's any courses on this, and maybe we can get somebody hired there. And I didn't hit pay dirt, so I'm sorry about that, folks. But I'll do the best I can to draw a stick figure. Joey asked a question. Do you think he'll be marched in the courtroom wearing leg shackles? Well, definitely be in cuffs, for sure.
Is that 100%?
Oh yeah, he'll be in cuffs.
Right. Okay.
In custody. He's in custody.
Right. It's a bit different in the UK. I've been privy to a few.
Well, no. If he went to trial, they would, they put him in a regular suit or whatever kind of suit he wears, and they wouldn't have him in handcuffs because they don't want to see the judge wants to avoid prejudicing the juror.
Oh man, I'll tell you what. I don't think I've ever spent a few $100s. Well, I mean, Joey mentioned earlier that it may get postponed, just in case anybody wants to. He's worried for me. Wants to laugh if it falls apart and I lose all my money. I have taken out a little bit of extra insurance so I can change the flight basically if it gets postponed. So it's all good. It's all good. Worst case scenario, I get a trip to the US.
A fun time, I promise.
Yeah, it'd be cool. It's it's a big deal. I've never been to the States. It's I've only ever been to 2 other continents before, so it's like it's a big deal. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's
So
like,
I'm really looking forward to it.
I've been to Europe, but I've never been to UK, which is strange.
Well, it's like I said on the last, American, you guys' life culture is so ingrained into ours. It's such a a fantastic kind of prospect. I've been reading about Boston, and obviously you sent me the pictures of Maine. I've been doing a bit of Google Maps. It looks beautiful, and it's going to be a really nice time of the year as well because it's fall. We call it autumn. You guys call it fall. I don't know why we call it autumn, but it looks like it's going to be really beautiful in your neck of the woods, Shin, doesn't it?
I'll give you the weather right now. Again, we're about 150 miles south of here, but the weather on Saturday, it's all partly sunny and ranges between, on that day, interestingly enough, it's going to be a little cloudy, and that will be 69 degrees. So that's the lowest temperature. And when you get here,
pretty warm.
Yeah, when you get here, it'll be 80. So it's a little different.
Wow, that's brilliant. That's fantastic.
But going back to Joey real quick, most likely he will be in shackles. I mean, it all depends on a lot of things: the marshal services, what the court's protocol is, what kind of crime, perhaps. But most likely he'll be in shackles. Let's see. I thought I had another question here.
Yeah, Chester, we're not gonna visit him in jail.
No.
I think he'd have to agree to it anyway. And if he heard that Andrew Burkett was coming to visit him, I'm pretty sure he wouldn't. But I've no interest in engaging with Lorne on any personal level whatsoever. I mean, like it is tempting, but ultimately, I don't want anything. I don't want to interfere with that guy's life at all. It's a little bit like on Star Trek where they have the Prime Directive not to interfere with indigenous cultures. I take the stance of not interfering in the natural evolution of his life. Let him fuck it up his own way. That's why I've always been a little bit unsure about the catfishing.
I mean, the worst that can happen is that, obviously, that it's not, but, you would only be helping the defense. I mean, and creating disruption and all that other stuff would just be falling right into their hands if, in fact, they're going on this. But I don't think they need to. Nick, I don't know where he got the money, but he talks about prospective money he's going to get. So I have no idea if he got it or he didn't get it. But he doesn't. Then again, it could be just one of those empty things that he says a lot. There was one more question up here. I can't remember what it was. We're not going to jail. Would you imagine if your girlfriend? Could you just imagine after years and you find out your friends and girlfriends have never existed? Oh my God, Blue Boy. Yes. Well, that means very lowest paid one that's taken fine. April, public defender probably means least experienced, lowest paid one that state can find. That's all he deserves. No, he's got great representation. And like I said, he's got a federal defender. It's not a state public defender. In Massachusetts, it's Committee for Public Counsel, CPCS. But here, federal defender, it's the same very strict standard. And all these guys are highly experienced. And most of these guys are very well-paid, high-end lawyers. You'll see in big cases, huge cases, that they get paid for. And they just like the FaceTime for these kinds of cases. Let's see.
Logan has touched upon something I wanted to discuss with you. We have discussed this ourselves personally, is what are the chances of his internet following, shall we say, being discussed in any way in the hearing? I've always, obviously, I'm going to have to bow down to your knowledge of the court system.
No, it's a guess. It's a guess. I mean, we're talking about, you're talking about strategies here. Like I said, I think it would be I think it's more likely to come from the prosecutor than it would defense. I just don't see how it helps.
Do you? I think we were talking, and you seem to think the judge is going to do his own bit of researching.
Very unlikely. I mean, their dockets are so full. Somebody mentioned earlier. They've got 122 important matters on their mind. Besides this, they're not going to, unless he somehow decides to just check it out. And oh my God, he got addicted too. That would be funny. But no, I don't think. And a judge doesn't have to do what you're calling sua sponte. They don't have to act on their own. In all cases. this kind of case will just come to him. And again, I think if any mention of this YouTube presence or anything like that, my guess is the YouTube presence is old Lorne videos and all that stuff will be mentioned by the prosecutor. And again, the defense will probably just be on their heels when it comes to that. And the only way to really defend it, I mean, to make an argument that would defend that kind of conduct, they'd have to put Lorne on the stand.
Joey asked earlier, I don't know whether you saw the question, Shin, was what are the odds of Lorne saying anything other than confirming his identity at court?
100%. 100%. Well, first of all, if he reaches an agreement, he's going to have to go through some kind of colloquy that he did with his original plea. You know, do you understand you're giving up your rights here? Do you understand what this means? Did anybody coerce you into doing this? Did anybody?
No, but is it just going to be yes or no questions? Is there going to be no open questions?
Yes, sir. But then again, we might get an apology to the world. You never know.
Oh God, this is what I'm just wondering. What are the chances of something happening that's going to make me giggle like a girl? Because literally, you can't listen. We were going over the interview before, weren't we? We were trying to figure out our technical issues, and I stumbled across the bit where the interviewer says to Lorne, what do you do for a living, sir? And he goes, I operate a law.
Yeah.
Just fucking crack. Just little things like that just fucking crack me up. Like, I operate a law.
You know, the better question
says it
is
in such a downbeaten way, doesn't it? Like he's laughing, like he's crying.
You don't know. The problem is, the better question is, not better question, but another question is, will he speak if he goes to trial? In other words, will he testify? If they go to trial, if I was his attorney, absolutely not. Absolutely. I'm assuming
surely anybody else would have the same view as you. Any half-decent legal representative is not going to let him go anywhere near that stand.
I wouldn't be able to control him. I don't know what he's going to say.
I would give up my whole savings to listen to him represent himself.
Well, it would be in the form of testimony. And his lawyer would just, here's the thing though, the lawyer would go, soft pedal the whole thing. And basically on direct examination, you ask open-ended questions. They can't be leading questions, that can be answered with a yes or no. That's for cross-examination. But on direct examination, they just let him speak. In other words, he's got to give a narrative. And what happened next? And then he goes, and what happened after that? What, if anything, happened after that? Things like that. And then when it comes to cross-examination, that's where the fun begins. That's where the fun because the prosecutor can limit his answers to yes or no, and those questions could be so damning. Isn't it true that you provided naked photos of yourself to people whose ages you never verified or even met? And he'll, yes, but nothing further. Thank you very much. And that's how it'll keep going. And then if he keeps trying to talk, the judge will admonish him because there's no question pending. He answered the question. Yes, period. That's it. So they'll keep him on a tight leash in terms of the prosecutor. I think they'll have fun with it. But the defense attorney, it's going to be a nightmare. So that's that's another reason why you don't want Lorne to take the stand. You don't want to give the prosecutor a crack at it.
But there's so many violations of his conditions that surely there's no defense to offer, is there? What would the defense be?
You're right. I mean, every time he signs a stipulation, every time he signs a modification, that's an admission. He did all this stuff. So all the stuff that resulted in modification gets in. He can't really rebut that at all. When it comes to the rape school class, that I think is the biggest issue here. Mainly because I don't think they'd violate him simply on an alcohol-related incident, although you can stem other reasons out of that. For instance, his inability to be honest, which he has a duty to do, and all that stuff. But I believe the Tiffany phone calls got him thrown out of his admissions with his victim one.
You really believe that, and you even predicted that before it happened. You were of the belief that they found out that the previous victims, in other words, you think that they've taken the piss out of him and
Yeah.
the they took them for a ride, the probation and the system and all that, because of his repeated refusals to pass sex offender class, which we've jokingly referred to as rape late class, which is fucking just hilariously.
We got to be more specific about that. You got to remember the first 2 years, I think, and I think Tiffany can verify this. He didn't have to speak in rape class because he had his 2255 motion appeal pending. So if he were to speak in that class, that evidence could be used against him in his appeal. So they allowed him essentially an exemption from speaking. And then when he finally did speak, so that took him a while. I think that's why they couldn't pass him, because he wasn't telling anything to class. He wasn't sharing anything. He wasn't doing the assignment. He couldn't, because it would be against his attorney's advice. I would certainly tell my client, no, shut up. So anyway, but once that case was done, I think they believed him. I think they believed he was just this halfwit who fell into this stupid plan. And
a lot of us did.
And he was like we all did, exactly. And that's why I think when Tiffany doing God's work on this thing, you're right, TCAP. When she got that admission out of him, do you remember what I said? Do you remember what I said? I gave it a time frame too. I think I said 6 months. 6 months, this thing's going to change. You're going to see. I thought it would take a while for them to catch up to this. They got him like what, 2 months later for the rape class?
Yeah, you're right. And we, when we heard the Molly, when we heard the call, it's already out in the open. We heard a call about a previous victim, and it really changed a lot, didn't it, about him courting a young girl before the Kayla situation.
Yeah.
The name was mentioned in the chat log anyway.
Let me relate this directly to the probation violation and the violation that was the basis of which is he got thrown out of sex offender class. And the question is why? And we know that the polygraph was part of that procedure in weeding him out. I think what happened was, I think that they listened to it, they heard it, they saw that Tiffany did their job for him, essentially. And again, I don't mean to say that in a bad way if probation is listening, because this guy fooled us all. Okay, so and I think that they got generally pissed off. And here's what I think happened. I think during the polygraph, during all of the polygraphs, and again, keep in mind this also. Lorne didn't realize that he had real victims until it was pointed out to him. He still refused to accept that. He tried to say they were good friends, but they were victims. And so in his mind, when he's asked on a polygraph whether he's had any prior victims, anything like that, he could say no and pass that test. It wasn't until Tiffany put it in his mind, okay, that he took another polygraph, and they probably ask those questions every time they do it, aside from the alcohol. That alcohol is in there. But there's probably some standard questions they ask. Have you been in present contact with any children? Have you ever had a live victim or anything like that? And up until that point, he was proving non-deceptive until now. And if you couple that with what they know from listening to those calls, they can't use those calls against them, but they could use the polygraph now. And I think that, those questions used to be a throwaway for him. They used to think, well, that's not the issue. We got to get into his alcohol. And now they see that, and they put a little more attention to that. And that's how they threw him out of class, because every piece of work that he did in that class was based on total denial bullshit. He was on the offense. He looked at the other people as less than him. He had all of these things, all the same attitude, and everybody let him. My guess is, the instructor or whatever, they kind of gave him a little rope here, because they weren't sure. Maybe he was just one of those goofy opportunists who just did something stupid, But no, they know. And not only did he not
the hearing. Sorry to interrupt. What's this about the hearing going to be closed?
No, they're asking. That's a question mark. You talk about TCAP recipes?
Amanda James, I thought the hearing is going to be closed.
Okay. Amanda, what do you know about that? Because I haven't.
hurry up, and then I can get my refund on my flight.
Yeah, that would be important. I'm going anyway, so I don't care. I'm gonna go to the court's office and get the disposition at least. Find out at least get the news before it gets out on Pacer. So we'll have it first. I
You've
might
already
risk a
confirmed
write-up.
with the courts, haven't you, Shin, that it's they'll be able to go in.
Say it again.
You've confirmed with the courts that there's like a viewing.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, of course. Well, at that point, we didn't have the new hearing scheduled. They were waiting, but unless the general rule is that all courts are open to everyone, and to the general public, because we need to see. That's the only way. Transparency in the justice system is the only way to know that it's working. It needs to be out in the open. But there are very few exceptions where there are closed sessions on a regular basis, and one of them is paternity cases, and the other is juvenile cases. And it's very rare that they would close a court, but then we're talking about federal court too. Well, it'd be very rare they close a session because there's too much media attention. That doesn't sound, the remedy for that. First of all, the issue with too much media attention typically involves trying to impanel an impartial jury. This case doesn't have a jury. So this is just essentially an administrative hearing. So it's not like anybody will be prejudiced. I think the only reason why anybody would close the session is if they thought there was going to be some kind of a disturbance, or there was some kind of threat of some sort. So unless, did Amanda come back with us? Let's see.
Not yet. Maybe she's just trying to wind me up.
Yeah, it would be great if we knew that ahead of time, because there should be an order by the court saying exactly why they're doing this. And otherwise,
Steve Sang will do it. Oh, that'd be brilliant. Maybe one of us will have to do that, Stephen. But anybody in the chat who's here now, could you say if anybody is thinking about going to the hearing, and we can maybe make contact. We'll put an email address of one of ours in the chat, and then you can get hold of us. Because what we were planning to do, if a few others are going to come, we can all meet up after and have a chat about it. We're heading back to Boston straight after the trial, aren't we?
Yeah, you have to go leave the next day, so we got to get you back.
Right, yeah. I think it's the Tuesday, isn't it?
Tuesday's the 1st, yeah, but you're leaving on Wednesday. Yeah, that's correct.
10 hours away, Logan. Wow, I could do that if you were talking on a driving scale, but as a travelling time, it's probably about the same, because I've got a 7-hour flight and then a 3-hour drive, so it's probably the same. But it's kind of a holiday for me.
To answer Scotty's question, will the transcript be part of the public record? Well, here's the thing about transcripts. They're not transcripts until somebody purchases a transcript. So, in other words, what you'll get is two forms of things that need to be transcribed. One is a tape where you've seen the stenographer with the fast typing. And all they have is the tape, so that hasn't been transcribed unless somebody orders it to be transcribed. And the other is the audio, where they essentially just record things, but in this court they use the tape. So you won't find an actual transcript unless, say, he goes up on appeal and he orders it to be made. That's how we got the other one, because he went on appeal. But you have to actually, and again, anyone could have the transcript. I have the court officer's name. The clerk's office gave me the stenographer's name, so I can contact them and see if I can get that. I want to get the detention hearing when he was denied release. That's for sure.
Yeah, well, we'll have to get as much as we can. So we're talking about potential. Oh, don't worry, Amanda. I was just
there we go. Yeah.
Terrified then that somebody had heard something about the trial date being changed or the hearing being closed. I was like, oh shit.
I know. I peed a little. Yeah, that sucked. Yeah, man. It's a rarity. It's a rarity that they would close it. But there's two ways they can do it. Prosecutor asks for it, defense could ask for it, or the judge can just do it on their own. Or they could do it by agreement. And even then, a judge might not do it. Probably won't do it because there's a lot of constitutional considerations to having any closed session not available to the public. You don't know what's going on in there. You can't do that.
So let's talk about, we have mentioned this before, we're kind of thinking, we've spoke about this ourselves, Shin, and we believe that it's likely to be probably an 18-month plea agreement. That seems to be a decent bet, doesn't it?
Well, that's what I would shoot for. I mean, if probation was so driven to get me 3 years, I would try to cut it in half. Chances are he's not going to. It depends. It depends how motivated they are. It depends what's happening. For all we know, they could have made a deal today. You never know. But I'm saying if they haven't made a deal at that point, it doesn't look good for him. And there could be a deal on the table he's turned down.
There could be. Are you chewing?
Yes, I did it. I'm sorry. Sorry.
Can you be chewing?
Yeah, Tiffany. If Tiffany's listening, I apologize, okay? Get off my case. Sorry about that.
Well, it's not quite as loud as the basketball, but it's more annoying. I can hear you chewing. So I think it's fun to speculate what's going through his head right now. I'm pretty sure the same victim mentality is prominent because that it comes hand in hand, doesn't it?
No doubt. I mean, he's never gonna have a come to Jesus moment. Never. He's never gonna have a time of total self-reflection and honesty. He's never going to be able to do that. And so he's just got to look around for victims. And quite frankly, I think his lawyer should be prepared for that accusation against him in the future.
So when he gets 18 months' time, let's just say he gets 18 months, right? Let's just say that's what happens. Is he going to come up with another crazy lawsuit? Is he going to try and sue the... I think he might take some kind of crazy legal action against the Church of God. Think about it, right? He's going to have a lot of fucking time on his hands. He had all the time in prison. He wrote Taken Abroad.
Who's he going to serve? Who's he going to serve? How's he going to serve that lawsuit? Who's he going to serve?
Well, how did he go about creating the crazy lawsuits that he did in the first place?
He was going against NBC. They're always there. They're well known. He went against perverted justice. I don't think perverted justice, but NBC was his main defendant, wasn't he? And his appeals were just matter of record.
He's not going to take it lying down, is he?
Well, there's no way that he can do this. I mean, can you imagine if first of all, what kind of precedent that would leave? If people are going to be subject to liability for expressing their opinion on YouTube, first of all, there's First Amendment issues. So he doesn't. Okay, we're not even going into.
You're taking the stance of a logical person here, Shane. That's a grave error.
But I don't think he'll get off the ground. I don't know how he's going to even
get off the ground in the first place.
I know. No, I mean, if you think about it, I mean, the first line in any complaint is, plaintiff is such and such and lives such and such. Defendant is such and such and lives such and such. Now you could do John Doe's and things like that, but you still have to serve somebody, and I don't know if he has any information or real information on people, but even then, there's no lawyer who's going to take it. It doesn't matter. He's going to have to do that on his own.
No, I mean, I agree. I just think that, what's his first reaction going to be? It's not going to be, well, I've failed rape class, I've done this, I keep drinking, I've not got my act together. It's just not in his nature to do that. So who is he going to blame predominantly? Is it going to be probation? Is he going to go back to NBC? Because he's
blamed probation. How stupid is this, by the way? Most probationers, most people who are on probation do everything they can to kiss their probation's ass. They do everything they can to at the very least, not piss them off. They may fail, they may get surrendered, they may violate, but the last thing they want to do is make probation their enemy. How stupid is that to make them your enemy?
But I don't think that that's been a conscious decision that he's made. It's just stupidity. His refusal to take responsibility has meant that a byproduct of that has been to make an enemy of probation. Because him living his life the only way he knows how at the minute, he's going to piss them off, isn't he? He's going to keep drinking. He's going to keep violating his conditions. He's going to keep turning up to meetings drunk and failing rape class and this, that, and the other.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, real quick. Lorne, question for Shin. Does lifetime RSO mean the rest of your life for 30 years? No, it's until you're in the ground. There's no, that sounds like something they do in the UK, to tell you the truth.
Yeah, we have fucked up laws over here, but there was even one of the Tiffany calls, I believe, where Lorne, I think he was drunk at the time, but he did say that he still thinks that he's going to get his sex offender status quashed, which just seems fucking ludicrous even for him, because that would mean get his conviction overturned.
The chances of that happening are less likely than him becoming a country music star.
Yeah, but the same chance. Well, look at Stephen A. Right, he's recently had a appeal turned down, hasn't he?
Yeah, he did.
Or basically retrial. They said fuck it, it's not happening, and he had a lot. You think about everything that he had. He had the whole country on his side. You know, all loads of quite a huge amount of legal help and fees, money, and quite a lot of decent evidence, one would certainly assume, and he got nowhere. What chance has Lorne Armstrong got? It's ridiculous that we're even saying this. You would only need that chat log, which obviously he claims was edited, but Tiffany managed to fucking get it out of him that... Well, I don't think he actually admitted in words that it isn't edited, but,
you know, one of the things that would actually, well, I was going to say, there's really no place for him to go. Everything, all arrows point to him. Everything. In terms of who he would sue civilly, well, anybody could sue anybody civilly. But there will be a point in time where if a court gets so many frivolous suits from one person, one plaintiff, they will enjoin them from filing any further cases without their permission. They will do that. And that's what will happen, just to get rid of it. But yeah, he's gonna. I think he's gonna be in there for he's gonna be on RSO for the rest of his life. There's no question about that.
Nick, someone's confessed to the killing of Teresa Halbach.
Yeah, but I read about that, Nick. The problem was that first of all, it's another prisoner. And he does have some information, but the problem is that they had sent, what's her name, the attorney had sent out essentially a reward for anybody who has any information. And when you have that as a motive, you always suspect, where the information is coming from, and it can't be corroborated. That's the other thing. I've heard that his word is the only word they have. It can't be corroborated. But unfortunately, because I think that case is a travesty.
Yeah, it was. That series just. That was her name, Nick.
Yes, he can be pardoned by the president, Blue Boy. He
decided not to, didn't he? He was actually asked the question, wasn't he, at the time? What's he called? No.
Blue Boy's asking whether Lorne could be pardoned by the president.
Yeah. Oh, Lorne. Sorry, I thought you meant Avery.
Oh, no. But Avery would have to be pardoned by the governor. But Blue Boy, you're absolutely correct. Trump could pardon him. But keep in mind here, he's still got...
Well, isn't Trump friends with Stallone?
Hmm?
Isn't Trump friends with Stallone? He's friends with Schwarzenegger, or he used to be. Maybe he's friends with Stallone. Maybe Stallone can have a bit of a word in Trump's ear. What do you think?
Well, that'll certainly make the news cycle if he somehow pardons a pedophile. But yeah.
Shin, do you mind posting your non-personal email address in the chat?
Yep.
The TCAT one that you made up, and then if anybody wants to contact us about the hearing, we can arrange some kind of meet-up and have a bit of a laugh.
Oh, I screwed up. Sorry. Hang on a sec. I was typing. Okay. Yeah, we're going to be up there the night before, and we're leaving the following day. We're not flying into Bangor. I think somebody asked that. Everybody's coming in from Boston. The trip is about 2.5, 3 hours. Depends who's driving.
I'll let you post your email address in the chat.
I'm doing it right now. Okay.
Oh, right, okay. Sometimes it's a bit. Oh, there you go. Sometimes it's a bit about things like that. But guys, anybody that's listening that is going to come in, please take that email address and get hold of us. If we can get a few of us there, I think it'll be a really good time. I know it's a lot to ask of people. Well, it's not a request. It's just a question. Obviously, I'm saying like, get your fucking ass there. But of course, my bizarre life has meant that I've decided to go. You know, it's quite funny. I was expecting some kind of crazy reaction. Sorry?
You read what Arrow Joe just wrote.
Trump
would never
biggest stone. That's brilliant. That's fucking fantastic.
Oh, DK, if I take the day off, I'll meet you up there. Oh, that'd be great. If I know that you're stuck with sick days or you don't have sick days, but that would be awesome.
Yeah, that's fantastic, guys. Anybody that can come, that'd be brilliant. But yeah, it's been an overwhelmingly positive response I've had from like friends and family, especially the people at work. I was telling them, and they were like, I was kind of telling them in this kind of subdued, speech. I was like, a bit quiet. I was like, well, I'm going to the US. Have you heard about that YouTube? They're like, oh, it'd be really interesting that. Oh, brilliant. I was like, I actually thought people would think I was insane, but the way I look at it, just in case, I'm trying to justify it to myself, so I'm trying to justify it to you. I'm going to another country to watch a play, and the play happens to be true crime. That's the way I'm looking at it.
Yeah, yeah. It's like anything else. I mean, it's a newsworthy event that you've been following, and I mean, there's nothing wrong with it. I mean, it's a little fucked up, but there's nothing completely wrong with it.
No, I think it. I mean, I must admit, when you said to me, "Oh, why don't you come over?" and then immediately my brain went, "Well, clearly that's impossible." And then I was like, "Actually, this could be doable," because I was going to go to Spain round about this time. So I thought, well, why not the States? It's going to cost a little bit more money, but who gives a shit?
Yeah. You're going to have so much more fun in that 50-seat courtroom than the beautiful country of Spain.
Oh, psychology's brought up a great point here. What are the odds that Lorne cries?
That's not my area, but I would suspect he would. Oh, well, I guess the most likely time he would be when the judge hands him down a sentence that he didn't expect.
Wouldn't it be great if a real life Lionel Hutz was representing him and go, this verdict was written on a cocktail napkin and it still says guilty. Guilty is spelled wrong. I move for a bad court thingy. You mean a mistrial? Right. That's why you're the judge and I'm the law talking guy. You lawyer. Right.
I miss Phil Hartman, man.
His voice he's brilliant, great. Wasn't he? Such an amazing actor. But all of Spain's brilliant. But Adam used to live in Barcelona, so I spent a lot of time there, and it's just a beautiful city.
I like that.
Barcelona.
Spain versus. Frylock, just so you know, we're just discussing our upcoming trip. From what do we understand? The session's still open. Actually, I don't know how far back you need us to go, but his probation's been has a revocation hearing coming up. He's in custody. He's been in custody since I think the end of or the beginning of August, and we're going to go up there and report what we see.
Yeah, we're going to record as much detail as possible. We can't get a sketch artist in. I'm going to take a pad and a pencil, and I'm going to do a bit of a drawing. Or maybe what we'll do is me and Shin, when we'll have a few beers one night, we'll do a competition who's the best artist. So
win.
whoever wins or loses or whatever the point may be, we'll do that, and then we'll post that, and we'll make notes as well in case we can't get a copy of the transcript, because we can't.
I'm going to be furious.
The thing is, Tom, I've thought about smuggling in some kind of audio recording, but
oh God, no.
No, it's not worth it, because if you get found out, you're completely fucked, and we wouldn't be able to put it online anyway, because
that's the other thing. You're exactly right.
Serious offences there.
That's exactly right. Let's see. When is it again, Becca? It's next Tuesday, October 1st at 10 o'clock. Oh yeah, I really hope Roy shows up. Psychology. Can you imagine?
We're wondering as well whether
McGuinn.
Yeah.
Tony doesn't give a shit about him. He won't show up.
I don't think we'll be able to go to Portland, Amanda. I think it might be too. How far is Portland?
Portland's on the way. Portland's on the way. Absolutely.
All right. Okay. Well, send us an email if you guys, could always stop off depending on time. We're going up in the morning on the Monday, aren't we?
We're going up there on Monday. Yeah, during the day sometime. We'll find a hotel or do a few things and get ourselves settled in, and maybe make a trip over to the courthouse to do some recon real quick for the next day, and see if there's anything changed on the docket, and go and party our asses off, I guess.
How about if we change the Constitution to some degree in the meantime, so that we can actually record the court proceedings? Do you think there's a possibility of that?
It's not a constitutional issue. It's a court order, actually. It's actually the court system.
Yeah, but we can we can make an amendment to the Constitution that says all of Lorne's personal, private, and legal proceedings are able to be recorded at any point.
Can you imagine all these? You've had who's that Oklahoma City bomber? You had the Boston bomber. You had all these famous people in court that every journalist probably would love to have gotten a camera in there in the courthouse. And then they let ours in for Lorne. That would be nice. That would say a lot. That wouldn't happen. So
I reckon as well, I'm probably the only person, one of few people, if not the only person in the world ever to travel to another continent to watch an insubstantial court hearing for about a nobody. Do you know what I mean? It's pretty that I've got no connection with, really. It's pretty fucking weird.
The shoe was on the other foot. I come to see you. If I was following this guy for so long, and it looks like he was going to finally get some measure of justice, you'd kind of and you had the opportunity to be there. If it happened in Manchester or wherever you are in London or whatever that area, you definitely would go without a thought, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, of course. Yeah. It's just, I think it's quite to be honest, it makes it more cool that it's more obscure. You know what I mean? It's pretty. Yeah. It's pretty cool.
Tom, to answer your question, how soon after the trial can we request and receive the transcripts? Again, we're just looking. We have to order the transcripts. And usually they charge by the page, and the original transcript is the most expensive one. So it depends how long the hearing is. It's usually like I can't remember when I was doing it. It's like $3 a page or something like that. So what I'll do is I'll call the stenographer, have her pull up that case, give me an estimate how many pages it could be, and get a price on that. For both hearings.
What about streaming that night that it
happens? We are, and Tom just said that too. We got to find a good bar, huh?
We've got it. No, but we're gonna have to figure out how we're actually going to be able to technically do it, because we can't even work it out. We've got 2 PCs. Never mind in a bar. But we'll figure something out.
Yeah, I mean, part of the fun of this trip is not having everything so planned out. I mean, just being flexible.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Them are always the best ones.
Yes, you can order expedited. Yes. Santa Clara with signs that free Lorne. Well, we're going to hold better signs than that, Jason, even though that's a great one. We were going to hold up signs saying what he was raised by his mom.
Never meant to do it. Don't yell at him. He's sensitive.
Oh, Jesus Christ. I forgot about that. Um, it's a
hashtag face to face. That's funny.
little side note.
What about your catchphrase, TCAP? How about hashtag another blow to Lorne?
I screwed up. I deleted a message by accident. I'm so sorry. Blew by. I meant to say show.
How about he was messed up at the time?
He was messed up at the time. Well, that's probably what his defense is going to boil down to. Either that or some kind of mental incapacity. See, I would be seriously looking into that. I mean, you're not going to get any help from your client when you do that, though. But if things are going really south on them, and the client and the attorney, the court's actually looking at giving him a mental evaluation or something in a secured psychiatric facility, who knows? They might realize that this guy's a danger to himself and danger to others, and they can't let him out on a civil side, let alone a criminal side. So you never know.
Yeah, let's just very briefly. That you raised a point that we should mention, because this is going to be the last stream we do probably before it happens. Let's look at it from a serious perspective now. Jokes aside, this guy is a danger. If we put our personal feelings to one side, because we've all got an emotional attachment to him, and I don't mean we all like him. I mean that it's a very strange situation. We've followed this guy and we've created a concept in our mind of what he is. And it's mostly accurate. But if we look at it on the face of it for what it is and take a step back, this is a dangerous guy. This is a guy who's a child predator. This is a guy who drink drives. This is a guy who's got no respect for the law. And you put it quite well, Shin, a few weeks ago. And it wasn't something I'd really thought about, because it's not something that we use a lot over here. Hi, Heisberg. He's criminally insane. In his current state of mind and the level of development that he's gained, if any, he cannot have a normal life. He's addicted to alcohol, he's addicted to nicotine, as many people are, but he's also a child predator, he's abusive, he's totally dysfunctional, he's a danger, he's drink driving alone. Now, when you did your section to Maine, you commented that the reason why he will never, probably never likely get caught with the drink driving, though we did previously when he lived somewhere else, is because it's so sparsely populated there that there's virtually no patrol cars. There's very little chance of running into anybody else. He's kind of allowed to roam free, but at the same time, there's always that danger. This is a guy who's cost the court system and the legal system and all that hundreds of thousands. Just think how much money in rape class, in therapy, in counseling, all the service, all the specialists that he's had around him, of course. This is a guy who deserves to be incarcerated, isn't it?
Yeah, and you got to remember, like you said, the isolation, the miles and miles. Like, we were on a road, and there was nobody behind us or in front of us, and we could see that road for long, long stretches. And very rarely somebody had passed us or anything like that. So the only way that somebody could be arrested for drunk driving is if you drive into a house. Yeah. So he mentioned he was able to do that. So that was good. Let's see. The other thing is, folks, should I talk about the animal issues that I might want to do? I'm not sure.
Let's touch upon it. I think I'm going to go about another 15 minutes, and then I'm going to have to wrap it up because I've got to get up early for work.
One of the things I'm concerned about is, here we have 2 arrests resulting in 3 orphan animals. Okay, let's just put that aside. The animals aren't cared for; they're neglected. They are used for pedo props, to prey on other people, use the dogs, that kind of thing. I'm thinking about going to. I looked up an animal shelter up there. It's in. I think it's in Skowhegan. I can't remember where it was. And I was just going to go in there and see if I can talk to the director, and not necessarily make a case against him ever adopting again, but I just want them to be aware of all the evidence. What I'd like to do is, I'm going to probably, if I do this, go show them the links to Roscoe on the treadmill, to anything, the mistreatment of the dogs and neglect and everything else, through whatever phone calls I can probably refer them to. And I think that if I do it that way, I just like them to have the information. Whether what they do with it is up to them. And if they do decide to do something, they have a pipeline of all these other shelters so that they can make sure this guy never gets another adopted dog again. And that's what I think. Now, the side of me that says I'm not sure if I want to do this is, leaving him alone with practically nothing in his life. That seems cruel, but at the same time, I think he's lost his privilege.
Yeah, and the dogs take more of a concern than him.
They are.
But you were a bit worried about what I spoke about earlier about our kind of prime directive, which is non-interference. You didn't want to get involved in any way, but you're not. I would say that you're just behaving as you would with anyone. Like, if you see a crime occurring or someone in danger, it's your right as a citizen to report that.
And I'm not there to, and I wouldn't be there to advocate one way or the other. I just want them to have the information I think they should have. That's it. And what they do with it is up to them. Who knows? Maybe I'll create some pornographers in those shelters. Who knows? But I think that this kind of thing needs to be really expressed. I mean, to these people, they need to see it. They need to know what's going on, and then they need to blacklist them. I hope they do. And I don't give a shit about him. You're right. I care about not only these dogs, but future dogs and future animals. So
yeah, I mean, the thing is, I don't want to defend him, but the dogs could have been treated worse by other people. They were fed and they were exercised, but it's just not.
Well, it's not just that. We're talking about somebody who locks the dogs in essentially a trailer hot box, smoking cigarettes and screaming on the phone constantly.
I'm not saying they couldn't be treated better and they don't deserve better, because of course they do.
Well, again, that's why I'll make it their call if I do that. So, and that's if we have time too. So we'll see.
Well, I'm assuming he texts them out, Amanda. Doesn't he? I mean, I suppose I'm trying to apply normal logic to him here, but I just assumed he'd take the dogs for walks. I mean, the area that they live in.
No, he never walks dogs. Never.
He never walks. Do we know that?
He, according to Crestfallen, when they went to visit him, he lets the dogs out. They have this certain area. I don't know if it's roped off or not, but it's basically a mosh pit. It's just mud and mud and shit. And the dogs have to go in that area and do their business, and then they walk all that shit from their paws back into.
I apologize. I didn't know that.
That's what Crestfallen said, and I have no reason not to believe that at all. That seems. How many times have you actually heard Lorne on a phone saying, "Oh, I'm walking the dogs right now"?
And the thing is, as well, generally, they say that dogs are a man's best friend, and I believe it. So basically, let's say you've got somebody in Lorne's position, doesn't have many friends, he's got terrible restrictions on his life, which are obviously also imposed. You would think owning a couple of dogs like that would be his lifeline. They keep him fit, they give him company, they give him a purpose. That's why retired people have dogs. I'm desperately trying to talk my dad into it, to taking a dog on because he's retired and getting a bit bored. And they're a lifeline. That's why they exist, to be friends to humans. If they are treated well, they will reward you. It would seem it's like another one of these opportunities that life gives him, which he just refuses. If he was to take care of them dogs and treat them properly, karma would come back. And do you know what I mean? It's just
but I unfortunately we're going to be experimenting with some innocent lives, animal lives. That's the problem. I don't want. He's already. As far as I'm concerned, there's enough for them to take a look at this. I mean, I don't know what he's going to do in the future, but no. How does everybody feel about that? I'm just curious. Is that too cruel? I'm not doing it. Cruel.
No, I agree with you, Tom. It is his only purpose. Lorne doesn't have normal motivations. He doesn't have a dream. He's a sad character.
Yeah,
You're
exactly.
right about Bud. If you look at the chat log, he introduces the dogs very, very early on as purely an attempt to lure in. It's the old tale of, "Do you want to see my puppies?"
What about in the chat log when he said, when he was all upset and hungover and maybe possibly drunk, and he says to Kayla, I feel so bad. I was just mean to Bud, or I hit Bud, or something like that. You know, I don't know what it was, but there's evidence all over the place where he does that. And let's see. Amanda, like I said, he uses the dogs like a pedophile would use a puppy in a playground. Absolutely. It's purity. It sets him on fire. Yeah, and the time he beat Roscoe, where Sadie had to run away for a couple of days.
Oh, it's just I don't want to think about it, man. It's like every avenue that he just gets worse. This guy, if you think about it, it's things that people can never forgive people for: abusive animals, abusive children, and abusive old people. And that motherfucker's done all three.
You know, when I was there a month ago, and basically looking right at his trailer, I was thinking in the back of my mind, I wonder if the dogs are in there. You know, because it was totally dead. There was nobody around. It was a hot day, and then I find out later at another stream that they were in there, and that his mother would come over like once a day or something like that, or people would come over. But you know damn well that's not happening. And if I knew that at the time, I would have been damn tempted to break into that place and get those dogs out of there. But that would have ruined my life if it was ever discovered. But you know, it breaks my heart to know that they were in there. It just broke my heart.
At least they've got each other. It's the only thing I can.
That's true. That actually makes me feel better. But
because there's some dogs in positions. There's a brilliant channel on YouTube, Animal Aid Rescue, I think it's called, where it's pretty difficult to see, but it's got quite a few million subscribers. Where it's just, I don't know what country it is, but it's some third world countries where dogs roam around and rescue these dogs that have suffered terrible injuries, and they operate on them, and it shows them just being recovered, and how it's so heartwarming to watch it. It's like those videos, if it doesn't make even the coldest man smile, and it's brilliant. And I donated a bit of money the other day, as I think every single person who has watched one of them videos at some point has thought, I've got to give them a little bit, because you just like, they're doing the work of God. And there's like, you know, I've not really thought about Lorne's situation with his dogs. I naively just thought, well, they seem to be okay. He cares about him in his own way. There you go again. There's me think. I'm always trying to find some goodness in him, but
if you want to look at
the more you look into it, there just doesn't seem to be any.
Yeah. Well, you know, some people made some really good points here. Let's see. Heisenberg thinks that Lorne should own a skunk. Even the skunk would be. I feel
the skunk doesn't deserve that, Heisenberg. Come on.
If anyone thinks that he hasn't hit or kicked those dogs when he's drunk and pissed, they're deluding themselves. Let's see. Also, this is an interesting point, Logan. Also, a dog is the only thing that will show him genuine affection. Only reasons he had them. And let's see.
Have you noticed as well in the calls with both Ramona and Tiffany, when the dogs are in the vicinity when he's on the call, he really goes into like affection overload, going, "Oh, my beautiful girl," and all that. Like, it's like, oh, fucking get a grip of yourself, man.
Well, that's because
you can just taste the insincerity. He's trying to make it appear like he's some kind of caring creature when he just doesn't give a fuck about anybody but himself or anything.
Well, you know, Kelpill said it perfectly. He only owns the dogs to humanize himself to others. That's exactly.
Totally agree.
Or attract himself to others. I think that, or have others attracted to him, rather. Oh, here's okay. We talked about this, Andrew. Lizzie B. Normal asked, "Is there one good thing we could say about Lorne?" And I actually gave this some thought. I think there is.
He's not a murderer.
No, it's not. We don't have to go through negatives, but he's not. But I think one of the things that really does impress me is how he can keep fighting, where he gets his fight from.
He likes Rocky 4, doesn't he? Do you not think there's a bit
It's
of
amazing how much. I guess he had more stamina than the guys in prison, but it's amazing how this guy he just cannot be thrown off his path. He's the
Do you
most
know what?
single-minded.
There is one thing that I'm going to have to say. I'm trying to be honest here. There is one part where I think it was Ramona tried to. It may have been Tiffany. I don't know, but obviously you can forgive them both for laying into him at some point because you're going to lose your rag with him. But where Lorne refuses to be spoken to a certain way, he'll say, "I'm not going to let you make me feel like shit." I can't remember who he said that to, and I was like, "There's a little bit of self-respect there because someone who was a complete walkover, they wouldn't have the balls to stand up for themselves like that." So it goes really in tow with what you're saying, Jin. It's his ability. It's kind of this fight that he's got in him. He has this fight. It's just so misplaced.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what I mean? It's like if he'd apply it in the right way as a kind of to get better rather than fight everybody who he believes is his enemy. His enemy is himself. Nobody else. His enemy is himself, but he's too stupid to realise it.
Yeah, totally.
We're going to have to start wrapping up now. Shin, just for people who missed it earlier, do you want to put your Shin's email address again in the chat? Guys, for anybody that's joined, since we mentioned it 20 minutes ago, so ago, anybody that wants to join us and have a chat with us at the hearing, if it goes ahead on Tuesday, please send an email.
And drinks.
Yeah, well, this is...
You and I are going to get off the wagon.
We're going to have a celebration afterwards.
Sorry, excuse me. You and I are basically teetotalers now, so we're actually going to live it up. We're actually going to...
I don't drink. I've not had a drink in a good few months, but
Me either.
Well, it's going to be cool. So it's going to be our first drinks, isn't it? Because we're both on like a health binge, aren't we, really?
Yeah, but I'm looking forward to this day. I'm going to get shit
kind
fixed.
of like... It's nice if you drink and it's a special occasion and you're not doing it for escapism. I think it's cool, so it'll be really good. I'm really looking forward to it. So any guys that want to join us, please get hold of us. We'll answer one more question. Well, I think it's going to be you, Shin, that'll have to answer it. Is briefly summarise the possible outcomes. So Shin, very briefly again. What are the three most likely outcomes of what's going to happen on Tuesday?
One, they'll come to an agreement where they'll probably split the difference. Maybe as opposed to 3 years, he might get 18 months. Second, he'll go to a full hearing. And there's a chance they could settle during that too, by the way. If things aren't going well for him, he'll take whatever it is. And at the hearing, the judge will come out with a disposition and revoke him and send him back to jail or prison, actually, this time, not just jail. Or the third is that they have a full hearing and the judge decides not to revoke him. So I know, I don't think that's going to happen, but because the judge already kind of gave us an indication of how he feels about this case by not releasing him. And the other thing is the judge takes pretty much everything probation says at face value. That's why Lorne doesn't want to be enemies with these people, because the courts will listen to probation, not the ward. Not him. So I think that one or two is going to happen. And I think I'm kind of hoping, well, actually one or two, it doesn't matter. But if it goes to two, we have a day of entertainment. And they might not even finish in a day, and you might end up missing the final disposition, Andrew. They might go 2 days. You never know. It depends how much evidence.
That would be... Even if that happens, even if I don't see the conclusion, the possibility of having a full day in court where I'm hearing all that would just be, oh mate, it's like I can't go a stream without mentioning The Simpsons or Star Wars, so it'll be on par with me watching a brand new Star Wars movie, like, you know what I mean, the sort of entertainment that gonna, well, not the new ones, couldn't give a fuck about them, but that's the matter. So anyway, guys, we've done about... I apologise for advertising that it was going to be an analysis of the video. We'll probably do that when we get back. We've got so many ideas. There's a lot of videos we've had to take down, previous streams and things like that, for reasons which, just for a few security issues, not that there's any fucking, massive conspiracy. I'm not trying to say that, but we've hidden a few of the videos that we've done previously. after the court hearing, they'll be going back up, and we've got some cracking ideas for some new streams with myself and Shin and Tiffany as well. Hopefully hopefully Clobbering Time will join us, and Adam as well. We've got some really good ideas.
We're gonna have the Virgin debate at some point, right?
Oh yeah, definitely. There's lots of good stuff to come up. Because we can this sort of subject is so deep and it's got so many layers. It just never seems to get dull, does it? It's fucking strange. And this is before we've even gone into detail about specific. I must admit, TCAP, I'm heavily leaning towards that.
Can you imagine that, TCAP? He's actually seeing the light. Here's the problem. I don't get it. There's about 170 reasons why we could say that he's a virgin.
Get into that now. We'll save it for another time. We'll have a debate about this, and we'll probably do a full stream on it, and maybe we can get people joining us for the talk. So it's going to be really cool. So guys, I don't think we're going to speak to you now. The Last Jedi struck. It has, just very quickly, Peter. Right, me and my friends, every year a new Star Wars movie came out, we had like a premiere night. I'd buy the tickets. We'd all go. We wouldn't dress up. We're not that geeky. Not that there's anything wrong with that. And we'd make a night of it, and it'd be such a good thing. But you know what? I morally cannot fucking go to the screening of this episode 9 because of Disney and the fucking... Anyway, never mind. Sorry, I went on a rant then.
That's okay. You might hear from us. We might do a live stream from there drunk. Who knows? And that means we're celebrating.
You brilliantly put, Logan. The Last Jedi was the Lorne of Star Wars movies. That's exactly right. It's... There's no doubt about that. I fucking hate that movie so much. Never mind. I fucking hate. Right, okay. Oh, come on, Lily. Don't go down the road. Ray is a horrible protagonist. You're not kidding. Do you know I had an argument with someone on Facebook the other day. I'm a follower of one Star Wars page, and I very rarely get into online arguments. Like every now and again, I'll bite. But I'm very good at staying away from drama generally. But sometimes I fail because I'm a human being. And I said to somebody, please don't see Rey as a hero. She's not. She's a really poorly written character. And in the space of half an hour, I was called a racist, a sexist, and a toxic troll just for saying that. I was like, you know what? Anyway. So, right, guys, thank you very much for joining us. Mr. Shins Koala, we will try to do a stream, won't we? The night of the night of the hearing.
Yes, I'm going to be when you come in through the gate. I'm going to be holding up the sign. I haven't figured out what I'm going to put on it yet, but you'll find it.
Oh, I can't. It's such a strange thing, isn't it? But it's starting to. I've had a lot of other stuff going on in the last couple of weeks. It's not really hit home what I'm actually doing. But I'm starting to get quite excited now. It's going to be like a 7.5 hour flight on Virgin Atlantic. I'm not the best flyer in the world. I'm not terrified. I'm one of them people. I don't project myself into the future that far. But when I sit on that plane, I probably will start shitting myself when the turbulence starts. So it's not, I'm not the best flyer. So it's, it's a big deal. But it's going to be fun. I can't wait to see Boston. I can't wait to see Maine. I can't wait to see Lorne. Isn't that fucking weird?
That's when Dave. That's the sign I'm going to hold up for Andrew. Can you see it?
You want just to touch. That's brilliant. I know. Well, you know what, Peter? I've just bought a book, an Old Republic book called Darth Bane, which I'm going to read in Thailand on my holiday in January. So I'm all the Old Republic stuff. My friend is desperately trying to get me to play the Old Republic with him on the computer. Anyway, I digress. I apologise for talking Star Wars. Shin, thank you very much again for joining me, sir.
Thank you. That was awesome. I look forward to seeing you, man.
Yeah, it's going to be cool. So, guys, thank you so much for joining us. We've had quite a lot of people in the chat. I think, like I said, I apologise for not going into the interview like we planned, but we're going to analyse the Lorne interview to its very core. Probably when we get back, or when I get back. We've got loads to talk about. So, guys, have a fantastic day, and we will speak to you soon.